Hello and welcome back to Exeter City. We've got FA Cup semi-final for you today. If we get through this, it will be our third consecutive one. We've won none of the previous two. Kind of want to win it now. Let's get you caught up. Of course, there's sod all to get you caught up on, actually, because we are immediately after the last game. So if you haven't seen that, then whoops, links in the description below. But I am going to run full first strength because I do indeed want to win this. Avalos in goal, small because Martin's still not back. Morato, Ampadu, Tiberio, Hesham, Markovic, Szymanski, Pereira on the left-hand side because I think he actually is left-footed. He is. Carlos Eduardo through the middle, Prieto on the right. By the way, hoping everything's okay with this one because OBS updated and it caused a chain reaction of things that needed to be sorted out. So fingers crossed, all those have sorted out. Do love crucial updates at key moments of particular series. A Manchester City lineup as follows. Their backup goalkeeper in goal, 4-4-2 otherwise with Mbappe and Vlahovic. It's weird seeing a 4-4-2 with Mbappe and Vlahovic. There's an immediate highlight with Mbappe. Mbappe takes the corners, I guess. Ruben Diaz, that's scary. All fine though. Prieto on the free kick. He's weirdly good at these. That wasn't far off. Though I'm not fully so while Prieto took that when Szymanski's on the field. Avalos hoofs it. Carlos Eduardo doesn't win the header, despite the fact he's 6'9", small. Szymanski, never not be stupid. Pereira, Kimmich tackles, Bernardo tackles, and they actually get the ball as a result. None of the players who made the tackle got the ball directly. They got the possession. Mbappe, with the physics-defying pass. I'll be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if that just looped straight into the goal the way that moved. Engine questionable there. Morato, back to Avalos. I hope that's not a sign of things to come. Carlos Eduardo does win that header though. Szymanski's in and leathers it into the goal. Good lord. This is, of course, whilst we are listed as the away team, this is at a neutral venue of Wembley, I believe, the semi-finals. So Szymanski smacks that in. No home advantage as such for Manchester City. Mbappe to put this ball in. Hesham beats De Jong to the header. Bernardo Silva with what was about to be a worldie, but not quite. And we're 1-0 up here, and I have no idea I never know what to do when you're one goal ahead. I feel like it often depends. It often depends on how reputable your opponent is. If you're 1-0 ahead against an opponent like, say, Manchester City, you can probably get away with an encourage still. Had zero effect. But if you're 1-0 up against a team that you're better than, then encourage doesn't work, I've found. I mean, I love it when we just pass it to Manchester City. That's always a useful idea. Mbappe puts the ball in. Vlahovic doesn't get on the end of that, thankfully. Ampadu, Tiberio, this does now concern me. They're going to win the ball back in a good position here. Or just, we'll give it away again. Why? Sure, why not? Vlahovic, Mbappe. Finds Musiala. He's in the team as well. Bernardo Silva. De Jong with space. De Jong wide, thankfully. I mean, a lot of questionable passes happened for our players there. They brought on what I assumed to be a new gen. Kimmich to Bernardo. Vlahovic. And there's Mbappe, but doesn't get to him. Might have been offside, actually, if he got on the end of that. Avalos. Hoofs it. Carlos Eduardo does win the header. And Pereira immediately loses possession. Mbappe puts the ball in to the new gen, and we can now find out 4 goals for this Thomas Pereira. Tiberio must accept the blame for this, apparently. His missed interception. Here, I guess, is what he's been blamed for. That missed interception. No, the person to blame is whoever was marking Pereira, obviously. / Pereira, who lost the possession in the first place. Vlahovic. Ooh, that's not good. Although we have covered Vlahovic there, whilst not actually putting a tackle in. Like, it's one thing missing a tackle, it's another thing just not even bothering. Bernardo, Carlos Eduardo, of course. Pereira does get that ball, and there's a run here, small. Oh, clearly he didn't take it. Szymanski gets in the way of Mbappe, who then immediately backs off. Why? Why are we kicking balls like that? Markovic does retain possession, although I think it may have come from Szymanski. Carlos Eduardo, there's a run. Prieto, not really in a position to do much himself, although Pereira has got in a good space there. Decided to take it right-footed for some reason. Pereira. I've seen Pereira lose possession one too many times in this game. He's coming off straight away. Every time Pereira gets the ball, he just gets tackled. At least it neutered the corner. And because Tiberio is blamed for something that wasn't his fault, Castillo, kind of feel like we need to take Markovic off. He is booked here. So, Segovia on. Hoofed forward, Ruben Diaz heads down. Jared Bowen on the pitch now. Mbappe. Jared Bowen filling that Englishman off the bench role that Grealish is currently apparently displeased with. I wouldn't be surprised if that's an invented rumour, but never mind. At least at 1-1 I can definitely encourage. Patson Daka plays for Manchester City now, in the role that his Leicester teammates once held, actually I suppose, the Iheanacho role, once upon a time. Am I going crazy? Iheanacho did play for City once upon a time, did he not? Anyway, they've scored, annoyingly. Jared Bowen is beaten Castillo to the header. Slightly unsurprising. Castillo's not the tallest. Exeter enjoying themselves, apparently, says the text. We're 2-1 down. Context is nice. Saunders, Szymanski, Saunders again. Puts the ball in. Prieto's there. Oh, he's 2-2 now. That's what we needed. Thanks for Kondo. That's what we needed. A game that might go to extra time. As much as I want to win the FA Cup after 2 years of hurt, I'd rather be knocked out now than play one more game. I should say, ourselves and Manchester City are the teams that have actually had the toughest routes to this semi-final. We're the only ones to have knocked out other Big Six teams. The other semi-final was Arsenal and Manchester United, and they didn't have to face any of those others. Manchester City knocked out Liverpool and Tottenham. We knocked out Chelsea, obviously, relatively early on. But yeah, Manchester City and Arsenal didn't have to face anyone particularly tough on their run to the semi-finals. Szymanski looked like he was meant to challenge that, but for some reason, miles off. Ampadu gets in the way of that through ball. Thank you. Carlos Eduardo finds Szymanski. Bit of space. Prieto does have the overlap available if Castillo decided to actually bother to join him. And as a result, we've given away possession because Prieto was forced to do a pass which wasn't on. Bowen. Castillo's been lost in no man's land there. Mbappe. I'm so glad Daka didn't get that. I just realised we played both Hernandez's back-to-back. Teo still at AC Milan. Lucas at Man City now. And good. Extra time. That's what we really needed. There comes a point when I have to consider a penalty taker. There will be one more substitute. Though, of course, all of my options are terrible. Anyone worse than 8? Isham and Segovia both 5. Honestly, don't think the actual consideration is penalty taking. It is the tiredness of the left back. Ball heads clear before he gets taken off, and Pavard's on the pitch. Bowen. I don't think Pavard started, did he? I'm not going crazy there. I still haven't checked out this Pereiro. Bernardo. Pavard again. Jared Bowen to save us some penalties. Thank you, Jared. Watch us equalise again now. Although, to be fair, the extra time's already happened. That's actually kind of annoying. I'd rather you'd done that in the 89th minute than now. Free kick to us. Castillo's the one taking it for some reason. Carlos Eduardo's at the back post and Carnage. Hernandez to Mbappe. This is still a ridiculous Man City team. How they have 4th, I do not know. Pavard. Pereiro. Finds Bernardo Silva. Pavard. I think they still have De Bruyne, if he hasn't retired already. So Segovia intercepts that one, and it is hoofed all the way to Saunders. In the middle, Saunders. Why have you run out there? This man in pretty good space, although Carlos Eduardo would just score from there instead. Sure. It's a really good goal by Carlos Eduardo, actually, because it goes over him to do this. I think he still volleys it. He goes over his 6'9" frame, and he volleys it at the same time as kind of caresses it. It's a very considered finish from Carlos Eduardo, and it will indeed go to penalties. And as our only competent penalty taker, at least everyone's confident, Carlos Eduardo will step up first. I will sandwich Szymanski in the middle. Prieto is relatively composed. Mbappe up first, because of course he is. Scores. The second he struck that, my goalkeeper was going the wrong way. That was obvious. Carlos Eduardo steps up now, and technically not my best penalty taker, because Szymanski does have one more, but I figured put the striker up first. Goalie does save that, but it still goes in. Ampadu. All this just to lose in bloody penalties. Ampadu. Wow. It is marginally concerning that amongst my best 5 penalty takers are my 2 central defenders. Bowen. Szymanski now, the actual best penalty taker. Runs up. Does exactly the same as Ampadu, actually. Patson Daka now for Manchester City. Up he steps and, it's saved. Just straight up saved by Avalos. Good work, Enrique. Prieto now, the other strike. Actually, I didn't see where Martin Saunders fit into the list. He wasn't amongst the first 7 penalty takers, Martin Saunders. And for a striker, that's quite alarming. Although, to be fair, both my strikers have missed. Kimmich to win it for Manchester City. They're right back, effectively, but obviously he can play anywhere. Oh, thanks for that ordeal. What a waste of time. Player of the match, Carlos Eduardo, missed the first penalty. Yeah, his penalty taking is 4. That Pereira's been around effectively since the beginning of the game. He was genned into Real Madrid, I believe, at the end of the first season, so developed well. I now realise my colours haven't been fixed, but Newcastle bizarrely have had a takeover. Those exploits in the FA Cup have somewhat overshadowed what I believe to be probably the defining game of our Premier League season. And the team we're facing is ironically the real-life version of the dilemma that my in-game Exeter team are facing right now. Because we play West Ham away from home, and in my predictions for this season, I thought that West Ham, at the end of their season, were going to be in a position where they've done well in Europe, they might be facing towards the end of the Conference League knockout stages, possibly even with the potential of winning it, and therefore they won't focus on the Premier League. Different competition for Exeter, of course, Champions League semi-final incoming, but we're in that situation. And this is effectively the game where whether we decide how much we actually care about the remainder of the Premier League season. And it is, ironically, West Ham. Getting to this, Ciro Fernandez is no longer tired, so he can come back in for this game. There is another Premier League game between this and the semi-final, so we can sort of go vaguely first strength if we wanted to. Just taking out any player that was listed as being on a heavy match load for this one, except for the goalkeeper, because goalkeepers are typically fine. So, Avalos, small. Avalos. Genuinely might be the first time both of them have played in the same game. Ampadu, Tiberio, Segovia and Hesham in the middle, Szymanski behind Fernandez, Eduardo and Uribe, and off we go. Szymanski will likely come off, even though he's not listed as heavy workload, he does seem to tire quite quickly in games when he's played a few. And we may or may not be up against a former player here. They've got a player called John Sloth, and I love it already. Even if he's not any good, I'm looking into him. Szymanski to Small. Only 4 minutes into this game, Vlasic fails with a tackle. Jones doesn't get to that. Szymanski again. Small. I seem to remember they had Minamino, did he? Was he on that team sheet? Small finds Carlos Eduardo and it's wide. Although it's blocked, I believe, or saved. One of the two. Szymanski puts the corner in and both of our 6'9"ers go for it. Sonny Perkins was injured. That's why he's not playing. Does appear to actually play, though. I also noticed they've got friend of the channel, Sekou Koita, who was responsible for my favourite ever GIF of all time. They don't appear to have Minamino anymore, but it is very much the squad of players that maybe didn't quite reach their potential. Masengo's there, Esposito's there, Cole Palmer and Curtis Jones, Nathan Ake, of course, Sonny Perkins. John McGinn at West Ham feels weird. Sekou Koita, actually, for that matter, as well. John Sloth is 22 and he's Danish. Let's find out about him. Annoyingly disappointing. Tell you what, Small's been playing for his position, quite frankly, because obviously Aaron Martin's not far off returning, and Stuart Smith deputised the entire time both of them were injured. And since Thierry Small's come back, and in the interim whilst Aaron Martin's not available, he has been playing well. Johnson now on the ball, though, for West Ham, his opponent for this particular game. I say opponent, he's their right back. Small is obviously marking their right winger. But he put in a 7.5 against Man City before we hooked him off for Stuart Smith in injury time, and he's on a 7.1 here. Avalos is playing well as well, actually. Palmer, who is Small's opponent in this match. Vlasic just palms it into the way of Esposito, and, well, we've had Esposito twice before in saves, although a little while ago when his potential was probably a bit higher, for Burnley and Southampton respectively, but he's done us one there. Vlasic, I mean, it's a great ball to Vlasic in the first place. This is unfortunate / bad goalkeeping. I'm intrigued to know what that goes down as in terms of goalkeeper attributes. Like, what led to that decision to put it in there? I would love to know the actual mechanics behind the game deciding when a goalkeeper pushes the ball back into the box rather than trying to do something better with it. But, because if it's just reflexes in the first place to just make the save and it's unfortunate that it's gone in, then that's fine. But if it's an actual decision to palm the ball into the box, then that's the problem. Szymanski, though, on the corner, 2 6'9"ers. He found one of them, Carlos Eduardo's 36th goal of the season. He might genuinely be the worst of our strikers, just an overall SAR rating, although I think Pereira's still lagging a tiny bit behind him. But he is by far and away the most prolific. Carlos Eduardo is that one that is defying the ratings right now. But yeah, the situation is, lose this and we kind of have to try a bit more just to make sure we lock down that Europa League spot, although of course we have the Europa League from Carabao, or we have the Conference League from the Carabao, we don't have the Europa League. Ampadu, fails there. Cole Palmer now is tackled by Thierry Small, who is booked now, so that was a very good measured challenge from Thierry Small. Fernandez whips the ball across and, thank you, Nathan. I do feel like Uribe was at the back post lurking menacingly enough there that he probably would have turned that in if it had got to him, but Nathan's taken matters into his own hands. You don't see own goals all that much in FM for whatever reason, especially not ones like that. Gets his feet all wrong and turns it into his own net. I find you see own goals in other games more than you see them in your own. Avalos, who sit forward now. Carlos Eduardo should get under that. He does indeed get under it, and now it's Uribe's turn to do something. Lakumi, great challenge apparently. Ball stays in play. Pereira finds Ake. Pereira again. It's just been moved around their back corners and, yeah, eventually punished. Dilly-dally too long on the ball in that kind of corner space did West Ham in their own defensive third. You could see it coming. They just passed it around one too many times and then suddenly Lakumi had no options because the player ran away and Fernandez turns in from the Hesham cross. A bit of a shame. West Ham haven't been playing all that terribly, but Szymanski to make it 4 if you can find Avalos, or Avalos will do. West Ham United are all over the place, says the text. Admittedly, we have scored 2 goals from 6'9"ers. It's weird the difference a 14 corner taking versus a 16 corner taking player makes. Because we had Avalos and we had Eduardo last year. They were both there. They were both on the corners. They were both on the near post. In fact, Avalos played more last year, of course. Uribe makes it 5. Oh, that's a shame. Yeah, West Ham haven't played awfully. They don't deserve to be 5-1 down. But Aaron Martin has 14 corner taken. He was on the corners last year. And Carlos Eduardo and Avalos scored nowhere near as many corner goals. Uribe, I mean, it's great. Just behind the lines, behind the goal, behind the ball when the cross comes in. We scored 4 goals in 9 minutes. Johnson to Pereira. Well, I might as well save Szymanski now then. And I might as well save Small as well from his booking. Well, they make it 5-2. Pereira, the man who was inadvertently probably at fault for the own goal. Not the own goal, the third goal, because he ran away and left Lukumi with no options. But makes a somewhat amends there. What is actually quite a good goal. We'll maintain those changes though, because really no need not to. In fact, we can probably save Hesham at the same time. Baba Mansley on. Esposito runs clear of Avalos. Obviously not the fastest Avalos. The reason why we replaced him in the first place. But Stuart Smith now, with a throw-in, finds Fernandez. Fernandez with a lovely first touch to take it away from the defender. Rounds him. Sanchez does recover to a point only where the slide tackle goes to Mansley. Tiberio on the right-hand side. Teases across a couple of times. Eventually does do one, and well tackled by Ake at least. Ampadu. Segovia. Carlos Eduardo finds Uribe again. Prazer. Segovia. Menacing. Tiberio is clean. Through. Stops on the line. Uribe. That's a tad rude from Tiberio there. Even I was expecting Tiberio just to try and lash one in from a tight angle, because that's what the game normally does. I mean, it's a great morale boost if we continue this into the Leeds game that follows. The goalkeeper does dive in the anticipation of he's going to try and smack it across or through him. Or he just stops on the line and passes it back instead. That's tiny bit filth, and that's actually going to be a penalty. Ake isn't booked already, so he'll be fine. Okay, suddenly this might be 7-2, and I wasn't expecting that when I came into this game. We've had a little bit of trouble in recent Premier League games of actually putting our domination in, and I now see it's just built up to this. Uribe actually on the hat-trick, of course. That's why he's taken that instead of Eduardo. Although Eduardo, of course, missed the last one, so Lukumi throws it to Vlasic. They definitely don't deserve to have conceded 7. Might be question marks on their goalkeeper there. Krutrabilis, Vlasic nearly makes it 7-3. We've had 13 shots on target and scored 7. And I'm just thinking about that Bournemouth game where we had 29 shots and only won 1-0 or 2-1. Pereira, Segovia, Avalos. I think it was 3-1 actually by the end of that Bournemouth game, but we still had 29 shots. That's counting. It's 8-2. It's the meme scoreline. I almost want it to be 9-2 just so the 8-2 meme is gone. Carlos Eduardo, though, does bury that quite nicely. I think it's first touch again. I don't think Carlos Eduardo's first touch is exceptional, but he scored what is effectively 2 first touch shots in these 2 games. Yeah, he just runs onto it and smacks it. Nope, it's going to be the memes, unfortunately. I'll do it for you. I'd hate to be West Ham. Nathan Ake runs out there with a 5.5. Own goal and a penalty given away. Surprisingly, he was on a 5, and that ruins West Ham's morale for the remainder of the season. They're fine, though. They're 10 points clear of Leeds in 18th. Oh god, we're going to be playing Leeds who are fighting for their survival. Why? Why does that always happen? Everton beat Man United, which is, again, the worst case scenario because they're the ones in this mix with us. Can they stop doing that, please? Man City beat Liverpool, and Leicester finally get the 4 million from Ampadu. Oh, that was Small's yellow card warning. Out of curiosity, Aaron Martin, 5 days returned. 5 days. So we'll be back for the Champions League stuff, but he won't be back for the Leeds game, which is fine. Actually, if you remove the Cup games, our form into that wasn't great. 3-0 loss, 2 draws. Admittedly beat Man City in the league, but lost to Spurs, Liverpool, drew with Arsenal. I mean, big 6 in 7 games is quite remarkable there in terms of scheduling. All 6 of them, and then just Aston Villa. Our nemesis Wolves and the big 6, all in 8 games. 9 games, sorry. I can count. But yeah, we struggled against Brighton, and we technically struggled against Bournemouth, despite the scoreline. So that is a very nice victory. But next time out, both legs of the Champions League semi-final, we don't have to go far for it, at least, because it's only Manchester United in this case. And that win against West Ham does give us that breathing room that we required against Brentford in 7th. So should we beat Leeds as well to... Leeds is not our game in hand. I don't know which one it is. I believe it actually might be the match against Everton in the run-in. Oh, it's probably the Burnley game. But I feel like we're going to be comfortably the Europa League at the end of this season. I do not think we're going to be knocking that top 4 now that Everton have beaten Man United. That's a really poor result. We do play Everton, as you saw in the run-in, but the fact they beat Man United is the problem there. Even if we win our game in hand, we're not ahead of Manchester City either. But if we win our game in hand and we beat Everton, then we actually will be ahead of them. But we don't have a game in hand on Everton, which is the problem. Although they did play Liverpool next. It's an annoying time for them to be playing well. They are in Europe as well. Oh, their run-in has Liverpool, ourselves, and Arsenal. The problem, of course, remains Manchester City, who also have Arsenal and Manchester United in their run-in. They only beat Lincoln 1-0 in the FA Cup. What a tie that was for Lincoln. So the Premier League might not be quite so over as I thought it was. I've just seen their results. Literally the only team they've lost to in the league in this calendar year is us. Like, New Year's Day happened. They had a rough December, but New Year's Day happened and they went, actually, no, we'll be good now. The only 2 losses in general are ourselves in the league and PSG in the Champions League. How bizarre. But yes, Champions League semi-final next time round. A sentence I wasn't expected to say this season. If you've enjoyed this, then like, comment, subscribe. You know the deal by now. Until next time, ta-ra.